look at this full house. Yes, so say. All right, my name's Pete Hammond. How did you all like Don't Look Up? I love that title. It has so much to say, and so excited to be here tonight. You're one of the very first audiences to see this film, and I know you're going to talk about it a lot, but without further ado, let me introduce this extraordinary panel. Please welcome Meryl Streep. All right. I'm not done yet. Jennifer Lawrence. Leonardo DiCaprio. Writer, director, producer of this film, he is just a genius, Adam McKay. Well, I can tell by the level of enthusiasm from this audience that they kind of like this movie. Exciting too. Adam, I remember talking to you right after Vice, sitting somewhere. You would never remember this, but I do. And I said, what are you going to do next? And you literally said, I want to do something about climate change. Yeah. And I know you had no idea what that was going to be, but you did it.
Yeah, that was, it was during the filming of Vice. We had some scenes where Dick Cheney was essential in undermining U.S. action on climate change. And then while that was happening, the UN report, the IPCC report came out, and David Wallace Wells's book, Uninhabitable Earth, came out. And my wife can tell you I didn't sleep for 3 nights. And I was like, oh, this isn't good. And so I started to think of ways to address this subject. And I wrote a bunch of little half-page treatments that were, one was dramatic, sort of dystopic. Another one was, Leo's a big fan of Twilight Zone, as am I. One was kind of an M. Night Twilight Zone kind of twist. And we kept playing around with the different ideas. I had a character, small character piece, and none of them were quite right. And of all people, I was talking to a friend of mine, the firebrand journalist David Sirota, who was also frustrated with our lack of concern about the biggest story in the history of mankind. And he offhandedly said, it's like the asteroid's about to hit Earth and no one cares. And I was like, that's it? And he was like, ah, ha, ha. And I was like, no, seriously, that's it. And he was like, ha, ha, ha. And then I was like, I'm gonna write that. And he just kind of blew me off. And about 3 months later, I came back with the outline. I was like, look, I wrote it. He was like, screw you, you're not gonna do this. And from then on, yeah, we were on.
That's exactly what it is right now, though. We're living in that age where all this stuff is happening in a 24-hour news cycle and social media, and whatever happens, they don't care.
Yeah, and in fairness, I have to say, I'm a part of this too. I desperately care that Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez are happy. I really want that relationship to work out. And I really want Russell Russell Westbrook to gel with AD and LeBron James. And so we're human beings. I mean, we have things that we care about, and yet at the same time, we're confronted with this reality that is, without exaggeration, beyond what we can comprehend. And at a certain point with this idea, it just became funny. It became tragic, don't get me wrong, and sad and horrifying, but funny to see our kind of weird social media, celebrity obsessed clique culture kind of churn along while the actual livable atmosphere is collapsing. Like, human beings have never lived under an atmosphere with this much greenhouse gas in it. So I realized, like, we need to laugh, and we need to feel sad, and we need to feel worried, and you can do all those things in one movie, and narratives can be powerful like that. Don't get me wrong, it's just a movie. I'm not saying it's the wave of change, but that was kind of the moment where I got really excited about Don't Look Up.
You know, and I have to say, movies can be very powerful. Having this level of an ensemble cast of these magnificent actors, huge names, can make a difference. There's no question. But satire is a genre. This kind of thing is not done that much anymore in the movie business. The studios aren't interested. This was a thing. Kubrick did it with Dr. Strangelove. Chayefsky did it constantly, brilliantly. And you know, on and on and on you can go with the great filmmakers who used to do this and don't do it anymore. And you are holding the flag for it, my friend.
Oh,
You
God,
really
that's
are.
There are a lot of movies that were a big influence for this. Buck Henry is another guy you have to name check. To Die.
Very Southern,
Very Southern. Ace in the Hole was a big movie we all looked at.
That's Wilder.
Oh my God, I love that movie. Wag the Dog, Barry Levinson, one of my favorite directors of all time. So yeah, we kind of look back at those old movies, but then we also realize we're in a new era where we have to be, where, you know, once the president of the United States, regardless of who you voted for, goes on national television and floats the idea of ingesting bleach, we're in a new world. We're in a world where the farcical has become commonplace. So we had to adjust for that as well. And fortunately, we have this incredible cast who knew how to stride that incredibly delicate tonal line between the farcical and the tragic, and that was really the key to the movie.
Yeah, I have to say, this is a room full of actors tonight. This is SAG, and they know the value of an ensemble cast and working together. And you guys, the ones we have represented, the ones that aren't here tonight, were magnificent together and bringing. Leo, I have to say, you know, I know, and I've seen a lot of your documentaries that you produced, that you brought out into the world. This is a subject and subjects that you're very interested in, that you want to get out into the world. So what was it about this particular film?
Well, yeah, having been a part of a multitude of different documentaries on this subject, and somebody that is sort of obsessed with this issue, speaking about it, you kind of watch people's eyes glaze over. People feel ultimately powerless. They feel like, and not to mention there's been so much twisted information, certainly in the last 20 years since Al Gore's film has come out. I mean, there's been a whole, publicity team that's been pushed out there by the oil companies to come up with alternative facts to what 99% of the scientific community is in complete agreement about, which is that man's actions are contributing to the climate crisis. So for me, how do you, from an artistic standpoint, twist the narrative? How do you create another conversation? How do you galvanize people and sort of hold a mirror up to our society and our media and what we hold valuable nowadays? And certainly when I read the script, I just said to myself, wow, this is an incredible gift. And Adam really cracked the code, because so much of making movies and what is entertaining is how do you create a sense of urgency with a crisis that's going to last the next century. How do you do that? I don't know, you have to make some existential film about people that live multiple lives, and I don't know what the hell you would do. But to make it about a comet that has what was it, 7 or 8 months before it makes impact, and how the media, society, politics, and people deal with this imminent disaster was a stroke of genius. And so I just knew it was something that certainly at this turning point, and where all the facts have come in, and we know we have now 8 to 9 year period to turn things around, was just a lightning rod of a story to tell, and I had to be a part of it.
And it's so great because this is going to be Netflix. So this is going to be in theaters too, first, and then Netflix hits the globe. It goes on the global. Movies can make a difference. They really can.
Well, you mentioned Doctor Strangelove, which was the height of the Cold War, and certainly we talked about network a lot, and we worked on that rant together. I mean, I've met so many of these scientists that have been subjugated to the back page of newspapers when they're talking about global catastrophes from climate events, and like, why is this not front page news? How do I speak in a way that the media will cover this issue? And that's what I loved about these two characters, which were sort of lowly scientists that had made this discovery and then have to go on this sort of savvy media run trail and try to articulate one of the most complex issues that they've ever faced. And I just love the way we as a culture responded to it in the movie, because it just so reflects what we're doing with the climate crisis.
And you're great too. You have your network moment, if I can say network, when you just lose it on the newscast. That is.
And I gotta give Leo a lot of credit for that moment, because early on, I had a moment there, but Leo, when we started talking through the script, he's so rigorous as an actor. And
sorry, we're drooling up here.
He's so rigorous as an actor, despite that display right there. He really went after that moment. It was like, there's a moment here to really express how all the scientists have felt for the last 2, 3, 4, 5 decades. And he pushed me on that moment. And I was like, oh, okay. Because we kind of joked about how like speeches are tricky. They can teeter into kind of, I always joke, like drum solos from the 70s. They can kind of feel like that. And he went after it, and we must have rewritten that speech 12, 15 times. And I remember the day we filmed it, and the crew is awesome, and they're shooting everything, and you could tell the crew was like, holy F. It was really cool.
It is. And Jennifer, so great to have you back on screen. We were talking there, I didn't realize, it's been 2 years, and then this, and then all this happened, and this was actually written for you. You were the first one in on this film, is that right?
Unbelievably, yes. I've always been the biggest Adam McKay fan ever. So that was, all of this has been really, really overwhelming.
And to play this character who is...
I don't know if I'm going to finish.
To play this character who it becomes a meme and all these things, we're all going to die! And you can't, it's funny as it is sad, because we see this happening with nobody listening to us anymore. And it's like a creepy time we're living in. But this character is fascinating that you get to play.
Yeah, I mean, it's so, when she begins this journey, I don't think either of them really consider that once they tell the truth, I think that they're just like, okay, we have to tell the truth, and then everybody's gonna be really scared and sad, but at least, we said it. I don't think they could have foreseen this outcome of like, oh no, we hear you, we just don't care, I don't believe you, why are you trying to trick me? And it's just what I love about their journey and the film is like, we don't, we're so busy fighting each other, because we get scared and we don't like what we're hearing, and it's not too late, and we just gotta focus on this actual catastrophic event instead of the things that are dividing us that don't matter.
Except for Ben Affleck and Jennifer.
Well, I obviously didn't mean Bennifer.
Yeah,
Very happy for them.
it seemed like you did for a
And
second.
no, I didn't mean to neglect
We
their
all
love
got
story. I
weirded
was
out.
only trying to point out the atmosphere.
I want them to be happy.
We all want them to be happy. We want them to live in the planet. That's why we're doing this. For them. So that they can breathe.
I'm just happy. I just keep turning around looking at a full audience in a movie theater.
Science works!
Amen.
This is what gives me hope.
Masks,
Right here.
vaccines. God bless you. Amen.
This is the way movies should be seen. And then you go and tell everybody about this and all of this. Meryl Streep, what can I say? I have always hoped Meryl Streep would be president, and now she is.
And aren't you sorry?
It's so cool, and it's such an interesting character too. I got to ask you, what you based it on, where your head was when you played this.
My head was in barrel curls. I basically did it so that I could have barrel curls like Laura Trump. That was
It's the hair,
yeah,
too.
it's a lot of work, and I think the president spends a lot of time on that. She clearly didn't spend a lot of time on the things that matter. But it is about, the whole movie's about priorities, where you put your priorities, and so much of what we require in the people that serve in political positions is superficial stuff. So she's who she is because she's rewarded for her greed, her connections to rich people, her uncaring desire just to win, and and to look good. I mean, that's the whole deal, and it's sad, but that's kind of where we are.
It's interesting with that the first post-credit sequence, where we see what she was about when 22,000 years later, showing up and forgets her son, the wonderful Jonah Hill. Who comes out at the very end. You were here because I know you were waiting for this Q&A, and a lot of people don't wait for the end of movies. I'm the last person that always looks at every last credit in a movie, but this is one you gotta stay for, to see him walk out with that purse of yours.
Birkin bag.
Yeah, amazing. But anybody you were thinking when you were playing the president here, where you would have your son as the chief of staff as well? I'm not thinking of Donald Trump, who I heard was floating Ivanka as the head of the Fed, for real. But
Oh my God!
so you almost can't make this stuff up anymore. But
No, I mean, I thought I was underplaying, frankly. I don't know how to talk about this movie because when I saw it, I mean, I like talking about my hair and my nails and my jewelry, my power suits, but what it's about is just so, it just really hit me like in a way that I can't kind of recover from. I mean, I've been involved with environmental concerns for, oh my God, since my children were born. That's when I got really invested in it. And I don't know, it has, this film is really, really funny, and I thought I was in a funny movie until I saw it. And then it just, it killed me. And so, I don't know, Adam, how you make another movie, because you can't go and make a movie about 4 guys going to Cabo for their 40th reunion or something after this. How can you do it? You're like, you can't, you made a movie that's about everything that's important. Everything that's important flows from this moment and what we do with it.
It does. You know, what you said, I have to point out one scene I saw, Michael Chiklis playing the Fox, supposed to be Fox News, Patriot News, whatever you called it. And, you know, the world is ending and the comets landing and everything's blowing up, and he's just got something else as his lead story, which is so Fox News.
Topless urgent care center. Which, by the way, is a real story. You should look into it. It's important. It's important.
It's like what you're hitting on here is that this stuff is just being dismissed. And we are now accepting that as fact, as like part of our lives.
Yeah, I mean, I think we didn't only go after Fox. We also went after corporate news with the Daily Rip. We went after celebrity culture. I think Leo's character, Dr. Mindy, is a bit of an incrementalist, kind of neoliberal type character. We tried to kind of show how, you know, to go back to Michael Lewis, when the incentives are broken, when the incentives are wrong, we're in trouble. And right now, and what you see, we had Jim Brooks was at a screening of the movie last night, a small screening we did. And I just, every time I see him, I'm like, broadcast news. Broadcast news nailed it. And it's the moment at which the way that we communicate with each other was befouled and became prophetized. And in a way, our society is almost, it's like a slot machinification of the way we communicate. It's about engagement, it's about rising emotions, and it has nothing to do with the basic transference of information, which is why I love Leo's speech when he says, you know, what happened to us? We can't just say things to each other anymore. Everything is some way enhancing our career or our profile. I mean, I'm 53, so I'll sound like a cranky old man here, but when I started hearing people describe their very existence as a brand or in poetry or music as content, I was like, it's like we've turned into a boardroom at a certain point, and life can't be entirely prophetized. So I think at the heart of the movie, that's really what it's about, which is kind of what Meryl was saying about, it's about the look, it's about the surface. So yeah, that was one of the driving forces behind making it, because obviously I wrote the movie before COVID. So the question became, when we were going to make the movie, is, you know, have we just seen everything play out? And from talking to this cast and our producers, and we realized, no, that's really what the movie's about. We've broken the very way that we communicate with each other.